Hi folks, Toad here with Visordown.com, and today is a day that I have been looking forward to since about the end of November, when an email dropped into my inbox from the man at Honda asking me if I wanted to come to the Qatar Losail circuit in Qatar to have a go on the latest 2020 Honda Fireblade. So we've only ridden this bike, which is the SP. We haven't had a go on the standard bike, and we've had about 5 sessions on the track. They've been good long sessions as well, 20 minutes, half an hour. So really getting a good feel for the bike and having a play around with the electronics. I'm going to go through the bike in total detail in a moment. Before I do, this is the SP version here. So this is the CBR1000RR-R SP, which has got the Trick Ohlins electronically controlled suspension. So it's got an Ohlins fork and an Ohlins rear shock. And it's also got new for this year Brembo Stylema calipers as well, which are lovely. This is 23,499. If you wanted the base model, so just the CBR1000RR-R, but not the SP, it's going to be 19,999, and that comes with Showa big piston forks and a Showa balance-free rear shock, and it's got Nissin calipers as well. So PCP deal on the standard bike is around about £206 a month, but check with your local Honda dealer. And if you want the SP, this bike here, it is going to be £320 a month. So without further ado, the engine of this thing. It's the big news story with the Fireblade, because for quite a long time now they've sort of lagged behind the rest of the superbike club in terms they've always seemed to be down on power, and they're focused on rideability, and they're focused on making the bike user-friendly and accessible to a larger sort of audience. What that has meant is, while you've had things like the BMW S1000RR, the Kawasaki ZX-10R, and of course the Panigale pushing the boundaries and going way above 200 bhp, the Honda's sort of sat around the 189, 190 bhp mark. This bike changes all of that. This is putting out a claimed 214 horsepower, and I'm not taking that with a pinch of salt, because having ridden it all day today on track, it feels every inch a 214 horsepower bike. It is very, very quick. It's got 83 foot-pound of torque at about 12,500 RPM. And it does, it's a typical Fireblade engine in the way that you have to rev it, and you do have to sort of live higher up the rev range, otherwise it does take a while to pick up and a little bit of time to build up that head of steam. The main gains with this bike over the previous generation, it is a completely revised, completely new engine. It's now got finger followers and DLC coated camshafts, which are basically lifted straight from the RC213 VS, sorry. It's also got trick-coated pistons as well. It's got a new oil delivery beneath the piston, so at low revs the pistons will remain just standard, going up and down on their own. And as the revs rise, there's a special oil jet that squirts the oil up beneath the piston. That's all there to sort of keep that area of the engine nice and cool, and also to try and help make it as clean a combustion as they can possibly get. Mated to this bike, as you'd expect, we've got a 6-speed box with an up and down shifter and blipper, and it's also got a slipper clutch. Before you say it, I've had no false neutrals, which was something that a lot of people who'd never ridden the old Fireblade said was the problem with it when they'd never ridden it. Had no issues whatsoever. The box is nice and direct. It's got a decent throw to it. You can really easily flip the lever and go for a race shift if you want. The slipper clutch as well, I was really impressed with that. At the end of the kilometre straight here at Losail, we're nudging about 186, 187 miles an hour. And going down through the box into the fast right-hander at the end of the straight, you're hard on the brakes and the bike's sort of sitting up on the front wheel, and the back wheel starts to skip, and the blipper and the slipper clutch and the electronic suspension all kind of work away in the background seamlessly and just kind of level it all out. And it's just it's quite a serene feeling, not what you expect from a 214 horsepower motorcycle, which I thoroughly enjoy anyway. So just going to go through another majorly updated aspect of this bike for 2020, and that is the Ohlins electronically adjusted suspension. It's not a new unit, but talking to the guys at Ohlins and also the Honda technicians, what they've done is they brought Ohlins in at the beginning of this project so that they could work hand in hand with the Honda technicians and not just develop a bike and then add Ohlins electronic suspension. They've developed the bike to work specifically with the Ohlins suspension and vice versa. So the bike has been optimized to make the most out of it. We have ridden, I think I said about 5 sessions, I think it's about that. But in the first session, we went out on what you'd call a fast road setting. And the bike felt good, but it was a little bit too soft for me. It was diving quite heavily and you could feel the back end compressing and sort of, it was getting to that point where it was starting to feel like it was going to sort of buckaroo. In the second session, they put us into a track mode, like a dedicated track mode, which is all saved in the lovely little TFT dash. And it just completely, I've never ridden a bike that has changed night and day that much. It feels this far apart in comparison terms from the road setting to the track setting. You've got so much more support, you've got so much more, you can trail brake further into the corners with confidence. Gear changes in the fast left-hander on the back of the circuit here at Losail. The bike wasn't getting us upset. It was perfect. And then I came back in and then we changed it into a manual setting, so there was no electronic adjustment whatsoever going on. It was like riding a bike with conventional Ohlins suspension and rear shock. And I didn't like that either because I think I was enjoying the fact that the bike was doing some of the thinking for me. And in some of the transitions where there's a set of corners here where you know, hard on the right hander and then you have to come up back over into the left hander, and it just didn't feel quite as stable. It is the most easily noticeable electronic suspension that I've used. Sometimes you change settings with electronic suspension and you really can't tell what the difference is, but it is completely obviously clear with this setup that it is changing and it is adjusting and it is making your riding better, well, my riding better on this track today. A real eye-opener. I'm going to talk about comfort because one of the things about the Fireblade that I always found from riding them for a few different generations of them for a good few years now, is that the Honda Fireblade was a bike that you could just get on it and ride and you felt straight at home, straight away, and you always kind of felt like you weren't riding a sports bike because of how comfortable they were in the ergonomics. Don't expect this Fireblade to be as comfy as your old Fireblade because they've taken the geometry of the rider ergonomics straight from the RC213 VS or whatever it is, the road going MotoGP Honda. So it's got very high set pegs and the seat to peg distance is quite small, which is okay for me because I'm only 5'7". And again, the reach to the bars, it's all set out and it's all laid out to be a race bike effectively. And I think that's what Honda are definitely gunning for, is they want to reclaim their glories of the past in World Superbike and British Superbike. And they hope that this is the bike to do it. So another revised part of the bike for this year is the braking system. So we've got, on the SP, we've got Brembo Stylema calipers and a very nice Brembo radial master cylinder on the right-hand side of the handlebar. The main difference with this system compared to the old Honda Fireblade from the last generation, 2017, I think it was. So the previous generation Fireblade had a 5-axis IMU and it would make a calculation to figure out the number required for the 6-axis. I've got to admit, I've been trail braking all day, and yes, admittedly, we are on slick tyres on a very grippy surface and the weather's been absolutely perfect for riding a track bike. I've never felt the ABS cutting in. Even braking when you've misjudged a corner and you need to bring it into the apex, I've never felt any kind of modulation from the ABS whatsoever. If it has been working away in the background, it's probably the most unobtrusive ABS system on 2 wheels, which is good and great for road riding as well. Very quickly, equipment-wise, we've got the lovely TFT dash. I could go through and tell you all of the settings and the modes and everything that you can do with it, but really it'd need a separate video that would be twice as long as this one. So I am going to let you know that TFT dashes, they take a bit of getting used to, any bike. There's a lot of information in there and you do have to get your head around it and figure out where things are and where you need to go to change the bit of the bike that you need to alter. It's one of those things though, the more you ride it and the more that you change it, the easier it will get. One thing I can say is that they've updated it for this year so that instead of just having like sort of 3 base riding modes that you can go in and change, you've got 3 base riding modes, and then within each of those you've got sort of 3 different suspension settings that you can go and alter. And you can literally do everything with this bike electronically that would normally take you a couple of hours with some C-spanners and some Allen keys at home. So it is fully adjustable in every parameter and more than a stock and standard suspension bike. So just going to go through what we like about the Fireblade. I think the fact that it's now got over 200 horsepower is, for me, is brilliant, because it's not like the old Fireblade was a damp squib or anything. It was a very powerful bike and a very quick track bike and a very quick road bike. I just think that now this has got 214 bhp, it's just taking it to another level, and it's really taking the fight to the other manufacturers, which I'm happy to see, because I didn't like seeing the Fireblade sort of where it was in the BSB and the World Superbike and so on and so forth. Another factor that I really like, the electronic suspension on this is just, it's an absolute dream in terms of what it can do and the amount of things that it can calculate in split seconds. It's just a no-brainer to have it on for me. There were people here today, people who've done race at the TT and club races who just had it all off in manual mode, but that's how they like it. But not everyone who buys one is an ex-TT racer or a club racer, so all the way electronic for me. Another thing that I like is that the ABS, if it was doing anything, I didn't even feel it, which is it's kind of what you want. You don't want it to be obtrusive. You don't want to feel, pressure bleeding out of the lever as you're trying to tip the bike into a corner. It's really off-putting and it makes your leathers go brown. What don't we like about the bike? The riding position is the most extreme Honda I've ever ridden. It's not uncomfortable. It's designed to make you go fast, which it does. But if you're not going fast, I don't know, riding one of these things on the road long distance, you could do it. Hell yeah, you could do it. You could do it on more uncomfortable bikes, but this thing is optimized and built for the track, and that riding position is one of the main factors in that. So the verdict, 2020 Honda Fireblade SP version, it's an absolute track weapon in my eyes. I don't think I could have gone faster if I'd have had more horsepower. Comparing it to other sports bikes that are out there, BMW S1000RR, Panigale V4S and the Kawasaki ZX-10R, it feels more raucous than the ZX-10R. The ZX-10R is kind of like this silky smooth, svelte, lovely thing to link between the turns, and this thing is more of a handful than that, but it's definitely so much easier to ride and so much less brutal than something like a V4S, which just constantly wants to buck and weave and sort of chuck you about the place. It's still a Fireblade, it still feels like a Fireblade, but in my mind, it feels like a Fireblade that's been into a race shop and had a whole load of track day goodies thrown at it. It's a very pleasurable bit of kit. So these are going to be in dealers in April, the start of April. So if you like what you see, get yourself down to a Honda dealer and get a test ride. Thank you for Honda for having us along to this launch. It's been thoroughly enjoyable. I hope you've enjoyed the video. And also a big thanks to GoPro for sorting me out the Hero 8 for the video footage that you've seen from on track today. All right, folks, you can read a full review on Visordown.com. Have a good day.